we have Tom, Sue here for the housing production plan. So let's
Rich too.
And Rich, sorry, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like he goes without saying because he's a bunch of stuff. So let's kind of do that first, and then we'll move on to all of the Metacomet Greenway stuff. So if anyone didn't get it or look at it, it's also attached to the town meeting link, all of these documents, if anyone needs to print them out and look at them again, or just look at them online. Housing production plan. Whoever wants to take the lead,
Sure.
please go.
I'll start. So thanks again for having us here this evening. I think I've met everybody but Sam Ziegler. So welcome, Sam.
He's our new historic representative.
Oh, great. I'm Sue Jacobson. I'm the Affordable Housing Director. And when Rich and I came to your last meeting, we presented to CPC the possibility of funding for they call it an updated housing production plan, but it's really a start from scratch housing production plan. And it is one of the things that can fall under the community preservation being able to fund. And so when we came in the last time, we mentioned that we had spoken to the person that did our housing production plan and got it certified through the Department of Housing and Community Development. And initially we were looking for a quote because this does have to be put out to bid, and we do have to request bids in from people. But we had to try to get some kind of an idea so that we could present an accurate number to this board. So when we first came in, we had a number of about $33,000. And since then, Rich and myself and Tom Cleverton, who is the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, had a meeting with the consultant, and we were able to get it reduced to $24,700. And basically the way that we reached that reduction was by going over each and every item in the plan and seeing what parts of the plan Rich and I would be able to take on and do instead of paying a consultant to do it. So by doing that, we reduced it to the $24,700. Again, this has to go out to bid. So we would, I think, present to the board this evening. I think the best thing for us to present to the board is that we'd like to put it out to bid and have it be a no higher than $25,000. So anybody that wants to bid on doing this, their bid would have to come in at less than that. We did enter into safe harbor twice while we've had this certified plan, and we are now in safe harbor until July of 2022. This plan does expire in 2022, so it's very important that we get, if your board decides to move forward and support this project, it would then go to town meeting for a vote, and then we would start the process to get bids in, rolling, because we don't want any kind of a time lapse from when we expire to when we have a certified plan. Because what this safe harbor protection has done is it means that from now until July of 2022, no 40B, we don't have to take in a 40B project. If there is a 40B project that comes before the planning board and the planning board feels that this is a beneficial 40B project to the town, they can choose to the zoning board of appeals. They can choose to allow that 40B to come before the town, but we do not have to take on any additional 40Bs for 2 years. So we do want to continue to keep a certified plan, and it really isn't. I think once Rich and I and Tom met with the consultant, we realized that us referring to it as an updated plan, it really is redoing the plan and re-looking at the areas of town. So for example, our town center now, when we first had this, I think the shovels were just going in the ground for Boyd's Crossing. And now Boyd's Crossing is complete. we have a 40B project going into 25 Rockwood Road, and we have another 40B project at 194 Main Street. So looking at our downtown area looks very different now than it did when we hired this consultant to come in and identify some areas in town that may be beneficial to put these 40B projects in. So it really is re-looking at all of the data that's in there and providing us with a new plan that would take us through 2028 as far as the certification goes.
Go through 2028.
Right.
So
it's a 5-year plan. I'm sorry, 2027. My math was off. We expire in 2022 and it's a 5-year plan. So that basically is why we're here. And we want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to present. And if you have any questions or Rich wants to add, or Tom wants to add anything to what I've said.
I just want to have a little bit of clarification for some of our newer folks. When did the first plan was not funded by CPC?
Nope, the first plan was funded by the Affordable Housing Trust.
And so if it was 5, would you say 5 years? So that one took effect in 17, is that correct?
In October of 2017, we presented it to the Department of Housing and Community Development, and it was approved in October. So the consultant actually presented it to the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Okay. Can you or someone just explain to some of our newer folk what the housing production plan accomplishes?
So the housing production plan accomplishes a couple of different things. It speaks to, well, several different things. It speaks to how to gives us some general ideas and guidelines on how the town can accomplish getting to 10%. And for those people that are new, the Affordable Housing Trust has been buying single family homes for the last 7 or 8 years now. Our project started, it was Gump's Farm that we worked with CPC, and 4 units were built there. And since then, the trust has been able to, with tremendous support from this board and prior people that have been on this board, we have been able to purchase. I just have a lottery running right now for our 19th home, and so we have been kind of moving along and trying to add single family homes that are not identifiable to our subsidized housing inventory. We're trying to get as close as we can to 10%. Now, we certainly understand that we're not going to reach 10% by buying single family homes, but that is looked upon by the state with a certified housing plan. It's set out that, you know, you can accomplish it with 40B projects. You could accomplish it with a small apartment complex. But by showing that we are a very active trust, we are one of the most active trusts in the state. And with our single family home program, it gives you a lot of credibility in at the Department of Housing and Community Development. It shows them that we are really working, even though we're the little caboose that just keeps on going, we're really working to try to add to our subsidized housing inventory. It identifies places that would be, in their opinion, good places for maybe an apartment complex to go. It identifies areas of open space. It identifies places that maybe wouldn't be a great place for a 40B project to go. It really kind of gives a plan for the town on different ways that they can work to get closer to that 10%. Hi, Paul.
Hi. So, I think I talked about this the last time. There's no question that, you know, you need a plan in place and whatnot. The mechanism for funding is my biggest obstacle. You know, our charter and our mandate is to create affordable housing. This program, not that it's not necessary, but this essentially gives us the opportunity to lock out any of what we would consider undesirable in the future. for the next 7 years, right? I mean, right now we're covered through 2022.
Correct.
I mean, I'm a bit of a purist, you know, in our charter, that we have a representative that on our committee that's supposed to represent affordable housing, and you know, that's part of the basic core mandate of the CPC funds. And I just find it contradictory that we would fund something that would arbitrarily let us lock out affordable housing. Now, all that said, I understand the purpose of, slowing down and whatnot. Norfolk, in my opinion, is probably one of the most successful communities in converting undesirable housing projects into a more desirable housing projects. Case in point, De Placido's project up off of Park Street. Case in point, the enclave that was, negotiated down to a lower amount of units. So, and fundamentally, I'm against a funding mechanism from our specific funds that are meant to encourage affordable housing. That's my only position on it that I think is worth stating.
Yeah, and I would say to you that I too think that the Zoning Board of Appeals has certainly with the developments, tried to get numbers reduced. But having this plan, if a 200 unit, project was proposed that people weren't in favor of, or it gives the Zoning Board of Appeals the ability to say, sure, that's a great project, bring it in, or no, we don't think that that's a great project, so keep it out. Because you do have, with a certified housing production plan, you have much more, for lack of a better word, you carry a lot more weight than you do if you are without one. So for example, if we didn't, we have a strong ZBA board right now, but we may not have a strong ZBA board forever. We have volunteers that come and go from all of our boards. So if the makeup of a board changes and maybe you get new volunteers that don't have quite the experience that this board has, it's been a board has met members on it for a long period of time, you may not get the same outcome. And so while I agree with you that we have some great developments after, working hard to reduce them, we could have had significantly, a tougher time with developments without a certified housing production plan.
If I might add a couple of things to help a little bit, Paul, with the question or the concern you have from a fundamental standpoint. So there has been a lot of good work that the ZBA has already done, but the work wouldn't have gotten the same credit for the community as you try to work your way towards 10%. So for example, without the plan, you wouldn't have gotten safe harbor to be able to, the hard work that was put into that to get to where we're at was giving us, if you will, the credit from the state by having the plan in place. So if we didn't have that plan in place, we would be adding more 40B units, which is great, but we're not going to get credit. So what it allows you to do is actually give you some ability to kind of incrementally get your way there in some respects and not have to take on a project that you may not want to take on because there's a lot of, it's not in the best interest of the town per se. So you have the ability to take the good when you want.
Yeah.
To do that.
I don't debate. Yeah, I don't debate that at all. I mean, where we've gotten to where we are, or where we've been to where we are. The town obviously does a good job in managing, its expansion of affordable housing. This is, in my opinion, it's chump change. It's small dollars. Okay, it's $24,000. All right, why aren't you funding this on your own, Susan?
Well, I would say that we funded the first one. I'm not sure that, you know, this is one of the allowable items, if you will, for this group to fund. And we know there's very strict rules as to what you can and cannot fund. So I would say that, you know, we did do the first one, and homes are significantly more now. We've just bought our first home in about 15 months because of the housing prices in town. And I think that the trust is really trying to, we've entered into a payment in lieu of with a developer as well, but we're really trying to keep that funding so that we can use it to add to the SHI, to go out and purchase single family homes.
Paul,
I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Rich or Tom?
Yeah, Paul, this is Tom Cleverton. First of all, the housing production plan does not shortcut affordable housing coming into town. What it does is it allows a plan that has been put together with Rich McCarthy and his group and our independent contractor to show a way that we can make the town into what the people here want to see it. Number two, it allows us to have safe harbor, which means that we can talk to people, we can work with 40B contractors, and we can have a friendly atmosphere to do that and try and stick with the housing production plan. So that's what it does for us. Without that, as Susan said, the 40Bs can come in and do whatever they want to. And if I can just put this, all you have to do is drive to Walpole and see that.
I'm not, again, if you heard me when I first started, I think we've done a good job in managing our growth of affordable housing. We've been able to reduce the amount of units. We've been able to dissuade developers from coming in that we don't think are representative of what, you know, fits in the Norfolk character. You know, this is, again, small money. I'm not sure why you're coming to us, which is, again, it's just, it's a fundamental issue with me. You know, I'm sorry, I can't get beyond that. In that, you know, we're here to promote affordable housing. This allows basically for you guys to, you know, lock out, you know, another potential suitor for affordable housing, you know, and dissuade them from coming in. I mean, that's where I didn't say that we didn't need it. Don't don't misunderstand me. This is short money, you know.
I probably would.
Why aren't you taking this directly to the voters on the you know, the open warrant system? You know,
it would go, Paul, before the voters. This is just to
only
allow
after
you to.
This
right,
is but only after we've endorsed it.
Correct.
So my thought on this is just that it is an allowable use of our funds. And the way I'm hearing it is that it allows for smart development of affordable housing. That like you said, unfriendly 40Bs, it would give you, I'm assuming if this is correct, it would give you some leverage to be able to turn back unfriendly 40Bs. Is that a correct assumption on my part?
Yes. So once the plan's in place, you're in safe harbor, you're essentially temporarily as if you reached 10% housing. So you have the ability to say no or yes, if you like to. So it's I know, can I add one thing? And then David is on the funding aspect of it. Here's how I would probably, when I talk to above me, as far as different departments and boards and so forth, they would say to me, okay, here's a project, here's an idea, how do we go fund it? How can we do it? So the first thing I would try to look at and see, housing production plans, they need to be funded by a municipality. It's not a grant type of exercise that will be funded by funders. So I would then go back to the town. So then in our case, where we have the Community Preservation Act, which does allow this is an eligible fundable activity, which, you know, again, the taxpayer to a degree is funding this because they pay money on a surcharge through CPC, that I would say we could stretch the dollar per se, because the dollar from the money from your pot has local dollars, but also has state match money, which would be better than going straight to the taxpayer to fund this in this case, because we could fund it. If you don't want to, that's a different story, but that's one funding mechanism. So, you know, that they would say to me, well, okay, I mean, you should try there first. Why not? That's where it's fundable. You know, I can't get in a grant. I have to do it here. I mean, it's a fundable activity. It's within your purview as far as an eligible activity.
I saw questions from our board. Bob?
So I'm still not clear, Rich, what you just said, and Sue, what you had said before that. If you weren't here tonight and you still wanted to have this funded, it could be funded through the Housing Trust Fund is one I heard from you, Sue?
So it could be brought before the Affordable Housing Trust, and they could vote to fund it.
Affordable Housing Trust, is that town or state?
No, that's town.
Okay. And Rich, were you just saying that another way is by getting some sort of grant?
No, there isn't a grant for this. That's
okay. You were talking about grants and I got lost somewhere in there.
Sorry, there's not a grant to fund this, but
So
okay,
yeah.
so you'd go to, so the alternative would be Affordable Housing Trust, and that's how the first study was funded. It's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you are not going there now is because it would take $25,000 out of the ability to purchase a home.
Correct.
CPC
And
denied to fund it the first time around.
Sorry?
CPC denied to support funding it the first time around.
Right.
But you know, further to that though, Cindy and Bob, you know, we as a group fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Okay.
Bingo, my point.
Yeah, right. And the point, and to further that is they're autonomous to the the town meeting process. So they can go out and they can do whatever they want without any approval from outside influences. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sue.
So if you're asking if we can go out and purchase a home without town meeting approval, you're absolutely correct.
How about the study?
Could we spend the money on the study without town meeting approval?
Yeah.
We could. The Affordable Housing Trust, for the people that haven't been on this board a long period of time, an Affordable Housing Trust was created, not just in Norfolk, but in other towns, and was allowed to become an entity, if you will, was because affordable housing, you can't oftentimes, so if I'm out or if somebody contacts me that they want to sell their home in town, you can imagine in a market that I could not, first of all, we'd have to convene a town meeting, because if somebody came to me now and said, I have a home, we'd like the trust to take a look at, it's January, and I would have to say to them, we can't even entertain your home until town meeting in May. Well, nobody's going to wait that amount of time for you to approve their home. So the state produced a way for affordable housing trusts to be, voted on. And in May of 2008, the town voted on having an affordable housing trust in town to be able to do what can't be done really by waiting to convene a town meeting. So either we would have to wait for a town meeting or we'd have to convene a town meeting. And, both are, would be a long wait if we waited till May, and the other, to notify citizens about town meeting isn't cheap. I worked for the advisory board. The postage is up to, I think, $1,500 a year. You have to have something printed to send out to everybody. So it's not a way for a board to be able to react quickly and to make a purchase. So I would say that our books are wide open, Paul. Yes, you're absolutely correct. We can go out and purchase things without town meeting approval, but we are subject to all of the same public records requests.
Well, of course, and no one's debating that. You know,
I
can you just let us know how much money's in your account now?
Sure. Right now we have in our account, I just got that today, $286,000.
Okay, okay, if I'll put in my 2 cents. I think we're all behind, you know, we need this kind of a study to continue on. And so it becomes splitting hairs of where that money is actually coming from. If the housing trust, affordable housing, pays for it, we're basically going to backfill that the next time you want money when you want to buy houses and stuff. So it's, you know, rob Peter to pay Paul. So, you know, I might say I'll agree with Paul in that, yeah, let the affordable housing pay for it. But on the other hand, Paul, we're looking to, as our next subject, to spend money for the Greenway, which is a plan for the future, a plan for the town. And it goes along the same ways.
Well, when you say, Dave, when you say spend money for the Greenway, which hasn't come up for debate yet, are you talking about
the walking path, the trail?
Yeah, another appraisal?
I think he's talking about the feasibility study.
There's feasibility study and there's appraisal. So there's a couple. And I mean, you know, and honest, if you need to think about it a kind of sort of different way, every couple few years, Affordable Housing Trust has come when their account is, you know, gotten up there and said, you know, can you transfer this money to us to be able to help us purchase affordable homes? So for the record, my last data on the account is June, and there's no reason to think that the Affordable Housing Trust account, our CPA bucket, has changed because we haven't granted anything since. Right now it's just shy of $13,000. So as you know, most of you know, every couple few years it's been, you know, $40,000, $50,000, right? That's generally what our amounts have been that we've given, you know, transferred over for them to have full accounting. In this case, you know, and we've just been funding the trust because of their ability to act quickly to buy homes. So in this case, it is a little bit of, to my thinking, pay it now or pay it later. Right? And this is me personal thinking. If we vote to buy it, or excuse me, fund it, you know, it's going to be subject to all of the usual qualifications that they're going to have to submit all of their reimbursements to us and, you know, sign off on it. And then we, you know, approve it and it goes through finance. So I don't know, that is my opinion, is just kind of, it comes out now, it comes out later.
Well, yeah, that's true, Cindy. That no question. You know, to me, it's a bit of a, you know, and you can call me hypocritical. I don't really care. The dirty hand syndrome. Okay, you know, do I want direct dirty hands or do I want indirect dirty hands? You know, if you know, I mean, if you want, you know, if we're splitting hairs, right? So, because again, it's very short money. You know. Yeah.
Look, Paul, hey, Paul, this is Tom. I'd like to just correct you. This isn't chump change, okay? It may be to you, but it's not to our group. It's money that's going to be well spent to help this town out. We thought we were working in concert with your group, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, no, Tom, I appreciate that, and I never referred to it as chump change. I said short change. You know, by comparison to the projects that we get subjected to. You know, on an annual basis. So,
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, we're in safe harbor now, Sue. Or,
yes, Peter.
And why are we in safe harbor? Is that from the approved 40Bs?
Correct. So in order to in order to get 1 year of safe harbor, we have to produce 16 units of affordable housing. And in order to get 1 year, and in order to get 2 years of safe harbor, we have to produce 32 units of of affordable housing. So that happened with the approval of, and Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, 25 Rockwood Road, at 194 Main.
Yeah.
94 Main, 144 Seekonk.
And 144 Seekonk.
In Abbeville.
Okay, so we're in safe harbor till July 22 because of approvals of 40Bs.
Correct.
Now, part of your housing production plan, is there a stipulation that we have to produce housing units per year? 1 or 2 or?
No.
Only
to get,
don't believe
only
that
to get
there's-
safe harbor, Peter.
Right. There's nothing that says we're held to producing 1 or 2 units.
What is the intention of the housing production plan? I'm sorry.
Is to help us get to 10%.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't read it if it was in the attachments.
Yeah,
No,
no.
in the attachments were just the monetary.
Right. It's a plan, Peter, to help the town work within certain parameters to try to get to 10%. Okay.
It kind of, so Peter, to help it just a little bit in one sense, the having the housing production plan has been used by other communities, not very many, but in cases where the town has articulated and said, okay, this is where we see appropriate affordable housing, and they've used it in a denial, and it was upheld in a location that I know Easton was one of them. We were talking about earlier this past year. They used it because you have, instead of reactionary, looking at, things come into you and now you're reacting to them, you've kind of articulated a plan. And some plans might be very specific, some might be more generalized, but if you are more specific to that, okay, this is where we want to see the housing, it puts the town in a better position when you're out of safe harbor, potentially as a tool to work with 40Bs if that's the case. But it's not mandated that you have to do it every year. It's just.
Okay, I thought in my research that part of a housing production plan would be you'd have to produce so many units per year to have that plan be legitimate, but not in our case.
So just to clarify, not the plan being legitimate, but you have to produce it to be safe harbor. So you have the plan over here. And then if you do have units to meet that threshold that Sue was talking about, we could either get, 1 year safe harbor, 2 year safe harbor.
Okay.
So they work together.
So just a quick question. So if, just jumping forward here, if whenever you decide to go through with the plan and go out to bid and contract it, what is the anticipated time frame for completion of said plan?
So we would not put it out to bid until after town meeting approved it. If this group determines to move forward with funding it. And it took about 9 months when we did it the first time. We had several community engagements. And so we would then put it out to bid. It goes out to bid for 45 days, Rich, is that the length?
You can do that much. 30 is usually the.
And then you have to accept the RF, the proposals in, and then you have to award it. So with it expiring in October of 2022, we would probably want to have it to DHCD sometime in the summer of 2022, so that we don't have any kind of a lapse.
Okay, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, so July of 2022, it expires. If we go forward, we want to have this all done, locked, sealed, ideally June of 2022. So there's no lapse.
Yep.
Well, can somebody review where we're at now with our percentage of affordable housing?
Yeah,
Sue, do you know?
I believe, I'm waiting for Rich, he's looking up the actual number, but I think we're somewhere around 4.9.
4.9.
4.7 to 4.9.
And that's before the 2020 census has come out?
That's correct, Peter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I was gonna say is
So
Subject
before the
to change.
2020 census comes out, we needed 311 units to be at 10%. I believe we have somewhere around 196. Is that right, Rich? Or two low
like
twos?
Yeah, so I'm looking.
But with the new census coming out, I mean, the building department in our department head meeting today said that this last year has been their busiest year ever for permits. So our number is going to go up. We don't know what that is yet, but our number is definitely going to go up.
your requirement number is gonna go up and your percentage is gonna go down.
Right.
And so we add, we add 32 units or 40 units at, say, Boyd's Crossing, at Rockwood Road, at Seekonk. That's another, if those are 125 units, that's another 12 units we need to add, so we're producing affordable housing, but we're also producing, while doing that, not many more homes to our list.
Non-affordable, yeah.
If you want to
Said that we're at, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump on anybody. When you said we're at almost 200 units, you're including the new developments that aren't built yet, correct?
So I'm including what's been permitted.
If you want,
so that includes Seekonk Street, that includes Cleveland Street, does that include De Placido's property up off of Lake Street?
if you
Park Street.
No, because that's not an approved project.
That's not an approved project.
Right. So I'll let Rich.
Rockwood Road it includes, correct?
If Will would screen share, let me screen share. I'll pull up the spreadsheet and you guys can see it. And then real quick.
And so the way it works, if I can just explain quickly while Rich is pulling this up, the day that the special permit gets to the town clerk's office and gets stamped is then within the next couple of days, I send to the Department of Housing and Community Development a request to add those units to our subsidized housing inventory. But those units, if they're not occupied within a year, they fall off. And until they're occupied, they don't go back on. So we're constantly chasing that number.
So you see my screen now?
And we do.
Okay.
Thanks, Will.
So this number here, actually, I'll show you, is this is the total building permits over the last between 2010 and 2019. So that was 490. So that's all permits. So that includes affordable and market rate. So now I will say this column over here is what Mass Housing Partnership has for us. So they have a little bit lower total. So I can theoretically use this, but these are actually our numbers. So we don't have the census yet, but just if you go along with me, you'll see that we're at 3,600 as of January 1.
We're at 3,600.
2020.
3,600. Wow.
Yeah. So,
You need 360 units. Okay.
Yeah. So so I think, I don't know, Sue, did you get the 16 yet? I know we put this in. So we're waiting for that. But let me show you this other page quick. This is kind of the spreadsheet of the projects. This gives you an idea of, so these are all the projects that have been approved, total number of units, affordable here, total number of units. So as these get built out, they're going to add to the overall denominator. These we got credit for. This hasn't started yet. So this is really potential future new affordable because it's not on the inventory. They're not billed yet. And this is the total number of units. Same with, where's the other one?
Abbeville.
Abbeville. So here's the numbers. So really these three right here are the ones that got us to safe harbor right now.
Okay.
Bottom three.
Is
The bottom.
Abbeville,
Well, wait a second. Abbeville, Lawrence Street.
is that still in the permitting process? Like,
No, well, it's approved. They're just working on the final plans to
okay,
go through the
So
detail.
they haven't received a special permit yet. So when I said that wasn't approved yet, that's
No, that's fine. No, you're right.
but it's still in the process.
No,
correct.
actually,
Okay.
I'm going to prove this right now. Hold on. I'll edit it. It's my-
No, I just wanted to ask if it was still in the works.
No, it's approved. Sorry. That's approved.
What about Village Green? That's blank.
What's Village Green?
The
Enclave.
Enclave at Village Green. So the Enclave is 10 units of affordable,
Yeah.
Peter.
So that I'm going to actually, there's no units yet, but it's under construction.
Correct.
Yeah.
We've submitted for those.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, no, not the Enclave.
So again, just to
I'm sorry.
reiterate,
Yeah.
Yeah, the Enclave is in, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I did ask, Abby, I'm in Lawrence Street off of Park Street. So that's included in the total number of approved 40B units. We have a total of 77 that you're showing here, correct?
Right. So what
that
happens is
that are built and to be built, correct?
yeah.
That are built, Paul?
Well, some of them are built, aren't they?
I think he said built or to be built.
Right. So I just want to clear something up. The Abbeville decision has been made, but the board has not issued it yet to the developer.
Okay.
So I cannot request those units be added until the developer has the special permit granted and actually delivers it to the clerk's office and stamps it.
Understand.
So once that takes place, then I can request that they be added to the SHI. So the Abbeville units have not, that request has not been made yet because I don't have the necessary paperwork yet to do it. Hasn't been issued yet.
So it's kind of like in a limbo thing.
Correct. There's always a lag from the meeting that they say yes to the time that the special permit gets drafted by, and everybody agrees, the attorney agrees, the ZBA agrees, Rich agrees. There's a lag there.
Yep. All right.
Got it.
So fundamentally, I guess you can see that we're still not at 10. So it kind of circles back a little bit. Actually, I don't want to belabor the point. I think everybody understands the value of the plan and the purpose of it. So, so we would hopefully request you fund it. I think it's an eligible activity. I think we have to get it done some way. That's all I could say. If we don't want to, we would be very remiss. I don't know what the right way to say this, but we certainly don't want this to lapse. And because I think, future potential 40B projects are still coming in our region. They're not going away. So.
All right. So I just want to ask any other.
Hey, can I just ask a question, Sue or Rich? Can I ask a general question on the your funding mechanism, Sue, is predicated on developments that include 10 or more units, correct, at market rate, correct? Meaning that, the planning board set into motion, not including 40B housing projects, that housing neighborhoods that, they're supposed to be funding your account with a set amount of money, as opposed to setting aside, a house or a lot or something like that, correct?
Yep. So the housing trust.
You're blocked.
Sorry. If a development comes and they want to put in 10 or more units, which we have not happened, that has not happened. The first time that's happened is, well, Gump's Farm was really the first time it happened. So yes, our initial big funding came from the sale of the properties at Gump's Farm, which was a joint project with this committee. if you are a developer and you bring forth a development that has more than 10 homes in it, you have to provide one affordable home. So
or pay a rate, correct?
Correct, but we accepted our first payment in lieu of, which is broken down over time. The very first one and the only one that's been done was last year.
And what development was that against, and how much was the money?
So it was Norway Farms, and it was a $300,000 buyout, and the trust has received $60,000 of that $300,000, and it's based on, they gave us $10,000 of good earnest money, a deposit, and then they gave us $25,000 after the first house was sold. They gave us an additional $25,000, or they gave us the additional $25,000 when the second house was sold. And then after the third, fourth, and fifth home, they're giving us $60,000 a piece. It might be six. Got to do my math here. No, four. So it's broken down that way. So the developer is able to, because they don't have to provide, if say that they were going to build a home, it doesn't have to be provided until after the sixth home, I believe is what our bylaw says. Okay. And the reason that we took this we worked really together, Rich and I, to make this payment in lieu of is because that development, Paul, is those homes are selling for, I think, between $700,000 and $800,000.
Oh, I know how much they are. Yeah.
Right. So the rule with affordable housing is the home has to be comparable to other homes in the neighborhood. You can't drive through the neighborhood and be able to say, okay, these 9 homes or these 10 homes are worth $700,000 or $800,000, and there's the 1,200 square foot ranch.
That wasn't the point. Yeah, the point of my question was to find out how much money you're getting per unit or per development for 10 homes. That was really
but it's only been that one.
Yeah.
Our funding really, we were, jump started by Gump's Farm, and then we get the sell price back.
How did you establish the $330,000?
$300,000. So Rich and I used a formula that the state suggests you use, and it involves the median income of a sale price, and then you take out some deductions for land costs, and they have a way to break that down. We looked to several other towns who had done it. Although we had this bylaw, we had never had a developer come to us and say they were interested in buying out of it. We looked to several other towns and how they came to this number, and we put that formula all together, and we brought it before the Affordable Housing Trust, and it was voted on. I'm sorry, planning board. We brought it before the planning board, and they had to vote to approve it. So it was not the Affordable Housing Trust. It's kind of it depends on a whole, the current sale prices of homes in town. There's a whole bunch of different factors that go into it.
Yeah, so it's a 12-year calendar period, median sale price in the town, and then through the special permit, the planning board, they proposed the schedule for the median sale price. We either agree or disagree, and and it came up to be 300,000.
So Cindy, this is Tom again. I think it comes down to whether we're working together and you can help us fund this, or you vote against it. I think that's what we.
Well, I was just going to suggest. I think we've discussed this plenty now. So, but I will just ask if any other CPC members or members of our audience have any other comments, questions, whatever. And then I'd like to actually, kind of take a vote, make a motion, whatever.
I'd like to make a motion to fund the study by the Affordable Housing Trust in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, any discussion on the motion? All right, if not, I will put it to a vote, and it has to be a, whatchamacallit, everybody has to vote and say aye and give their name. Roll call vote. So Cindy Andrade, I vote aye.
Peter Diamond, I vote aye.
Eddie
Gary
Lehan,
Searle.
vote aye.
Gary Searle, I vote aye.
Sam
Bob
Ziegler,
Paschke,
I
aye.
vote aye.
And
You're mute, Dave.
Dave, you're muted.
Yeah, aye. With the option of no, but I'll say aye.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
Again,
Will?
aye.
I think that's everyone. So the ayes have it, however many to 1 no, and it is a vote. So we'll move forward to town meeting with this on the agenda. And so that's great. I thank you guys very much for giving a very thorough explanation and presentation.
Well,
We
thank
thank
you
all
for
of
the
you.
opportunity. And Paul, I just want you to know, I always appreciate your feedback. It's important that we have dialogue, right?
I'm not as bad as I might sound.
You are absolutely not. And I think it's important, and I think it's great for your new members that haven't been around as long to, it's a great way to get more of what it's all about out in the open.
Yep.
And I appreciate that.
So when we end up writing the warrant article, just so I said, I'll get updated numbers. Right now we have just shy of 13,000 in the Affordable Housing Fund. There'll be more that has, come in prior to the next town meeting. And so, then generally what we would do for folks, just to know, we have about 3.2 million in our, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right numbers here. In the available funds. And so whatever is not in the Affordable Housing Fund bucket at the time of town meeting will come out of the unencumbered, undesignated fund. Nope, sorry, 2.5 million out of as undesignated. So that's how we will write warrant articles at the time. And I'm sure there'll be more information. We'll work together going forward to make sure it's written clearly. And
great. Again, we appreciate the partnership.
Yep.
Thanks, Cindy.
Stay well, everybody.
Hey, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, and for affordable housing people that are here, I look forward to just speaking with you on the Main Street property, whenever it is, next week, I think, right?
Yes, you are on the agenda.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Aye.
Bye-bye.
Aye.
All right, moving on. People who've been hanging in here for Medicon Greenway. I have lost my agenda, but that's okay. It's here somewhere.
I have to leave. I got to go to a protest down in Washington. So
Go ahead.
just kidding.
You had a
You were
long
just
drive
warming
tonight.
up with your previous protest?
All right.
I'm so glad I didn't leave yet. Bye-bye.
Aye.
All righty. Okay, so why don't we do the feasibility study first, since we're doing feasibility studies at the moment, and then we can just talk about the Hill Street lots appraisal. So we'll keep Rich on for that, and whomever else. So I have a question. I know Zach, the Kathleen McHale and the Chris, are they part of the Metacomet?
I
Just asking.
don't know.
Okay.
Well, I know. Well,
Anyway.
Chris Mumford is going to be before the planning board to become associate member, so maybe he's just interested in what's going on.
Okay, great. Okay, I just like to know.
Yeah.
Sometimes why people are here.
Sure.
Just being nosy. Okay, Metacomet Greenway.
Yeah, just being nosy. I apologize for not introducing stuff earlier.
Chris.
All right, who wants to head off the feasibility study?
Are Peter and Zach, you going to show your faces, or is it going to be?
It's going to be a Rich McCarthy show.
There he is.
There he is. Hello.
There's Peter Sealing. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Oh, this is strange. It looks like I'm in my wife's office, but I'm not. I don't know how she did that.
Well, I mean, Dave Turey's got the Northern Lights behind him, so you know.
I know. I was going to comment on that earlier, David.
I like
yeah,
that.
I like that background. That's probably the best background I've seen.
Yep.
So it's really probably the three of us to a degree presenting. And I think, well, I put together a feasibility study scope that I provided to the board to take a look at. And the scope of this study is modeled after other feasibilities for Greenway projects within the region, and more closely to us. It's a feasibility study that similar the components within this one is what the town of Rentham is doing, that the CPC funded for the Metacomet Greenway for their portion of the Metacomet Greenway. There might be, there's a few new people on here, so I think I'll just pause and let Zach and Peter do their pitch to the whole Metacomet just quickly, if that makes sense for those that are new. Is that okay, Cindy? Or?
Sure.
All right. So, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Peter.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared to do a pitch tonight.
Well, you started.
All right. Well,
just talk.
You can chime in. Basically, the Metacomet Greenway is a citizen collaboration between citizen volunteers and town staff from Rentham, Norfolk, and Plainville. They've added this town staff. There is some involvement town staff and volunteers from the town of North Attleboro well, but basically it's the abandoned rail bed that we've named the Metacomet Greenway.
Walpole too, right?
What's that?
Walpole's included.
Walpole, yeah. Walpole. And it's a collaborative effort to create a Greenway project that is what, 17 point something miles, I think, from.
Yeah, 17 miles. And to add to what Rich said, because we are looking to expand that in the last month or so. I've also been in contact with some of the planning members at Cumberland, Rhode Island. And there's another 2 or 3 miles in Cumberland that we would like to connect to, that would allow us to connect to the Blackstone Valley Bikeway, which is another 22-mile trail. The MAPC and other state planning agencies are highly interested, especially, with the some of the folks that Charlie Baker has brought into the administration. They're highly interested in connectivity of these types of recreational trails and multi-use trails. And we think that we have a pretty important one where we could connect to, like I mentioned, the 22-mile Blackstone Valley Bikeway, which also connects to the SNET, which is in Franklin, the south.
The trunk trail.
Yeah, the trunk trail.
Trunk trail, yeah.
Yep.
And there was also word of Foxborough looking at a trail near Gillette Stadium, but the sound of it, I don't know if that one, I haven't mapped that one yet. Zach, have you? The sound of that one might be, it's kind of following the rail path that goes up towards Framingham.
Yeah, so it would extend from, I think, Mansfield through Gillette Stadium, but it would mainly follow the MBTA. So it wouldn't be along, like, say, an abandoned rail like we're proposing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it any less, important. It would still be great for the area. But I'm not so sure the MBTA is so fond of those types of projects for safety concerns. But it would give us, potential to tie in the Walpole area, not too far from where we sort of have stopped looking.
And the Blackstone does that currently, if you haven't been down there. So it is adjacent to an active rail line. So it's not.
Boston does it too.
Yeah. So it's not.
Yeah, it's not to say that it isn't done. It certainly is. I think Blackstone extends a little further. I know parts of it are adjacent to the track.
Yeah.
So
but all of them eventually really all connect together. I mean, the Blackstone, the Metacomet, the one in Foxborough connecting to Framingham, all those eventually can connect together. And if they're not already, I believe Framingham's ones is already partly connected over with Blackstone.
And another, sorry, Peter, to cut you off. Another pretty important piece is there's a thing called the East Coast Greenway, which is a proposed trail that would allow people to go from Maine all the way down to Key West. And more recently, we've been contacted to see, you know, if it's feasible that our trail be part of that. And they think that it might be an easier route for them to get from the Framingham area and connect to Rhode Island, instead of what they had previously been proposing was to go down through Worcester and a few of the towns in central Mass. But they had a lot of issues with, you know, development and property owners and things like that. So that you think that they might have an easier shot with Metacomet Greenway, and we're pretty excited about it. So
do we have a cost of the study?
So one of the things, so we're a little bit different stages in the planning process with this. So we have, we're taking a little bit of baby steps. So we've provided a scope, and what we would like to do is if you support the idea, and it's a potential funding of this, because I haven't gotten numbers yet, but what I like to say, at least and I think we would like to hopefully get a vote of support of the project. I would do a similar thing. I would price it out to get an idea of the cost, and then come back to the CPC to give you an idea. Because, well, first of all, I haven't done it yet, and then secondly, I know that, you know, again, we would have to put this out to bid similarly like we just talked about the housing production plan, but I wanted to get just a sense of hopefully strong support for it, and then we would price it out. So just for example, and I don't want to scare you, but so Rentham was like $50-some thousand, but it was a much bigger scope than this. So it's a lot longer, it's a lot longer area. So I would think, just ballpark, to be fair, this probably should be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, somewhere in there.
So I have a chicken and egg question, so to speak. Next thing that we'll be discussing is whether or not we want to go forward with a revised appraisal on the Hill Street properties, which would be our Norfolk's major portion of the trail. So on the feasibility study, would you be waiting to see if we were successful there? In other words, would you be waiting to see if the town had success in securing the property before you did the feasibility study, or does the feasibility study include other parcels other than just Hill Street, in that if you got other parcels in Norfolk, you could circumvent Hill Street and that would still be part of the study? Was that a kind of a clear question?
Yeah, so we can, so yes, the simple, well, straight answer is yeah, we could, it's not, if you decide not to move in the middle section, I guess, we still
could. If we can't.
Huh?
Or if we're not successful.
If you're not successful, right. So we would, and it's similar to what's going on in the town of Rentham. So some of the right-of-way in Rentham actually has been built on with homes, so it's been reclaimed to a different use. So it's a combination, their feasibility study, which would be part of the rail bed. So we do have, the Southwood Hospital property that's up, that abuts up with the Walpole Recreation, and then we have the other parcel that's to the south of 115 that continues on. And so if we're not successful, it would be more of a combination of on-road, off-road that we will look at as part of the feasibility study to make the connection. So it can be done either way. And I think we will, Cindy asked one further thing.
Yeah.
Is I think we would, if we could put it within the scope, I think we want to talk about adjacent connections in the town of Norfolk over time to connect to this too.
Like the Pond Street
like a feeder
complex?
system?
Yeah, like exactly, Pond Street, recreation complex, et cetera. We at least want to kind of, because we would want to put them in the plan, in the study, so that way down the road, it kind of lays the seed for us to go chase money to try to get some of this work done with grants and so forth. So that's the end game, is that these type of projects, there's multiple pots of money to be able to fund the construction of it. And so we're trying to work our ways towards that. That's the end game. But
so you wouldn't necessarily be looking to this for this spring, you're just looking for kind of a vote of, yes, we support going forward. And
no, I'd be going for the spring too.
You'd be going for spring, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we would like to. But it would be, in one sense, I'm somewhat, my curiosity on the discussion with the property, you know, well, Mrs. Gould's property, would it be possible to just pause and hear that too as we're talking about this, or?
Incorporated into the two? Yeah, sure, I guess we can.
If you don't mind.
Why not?
Certainly kind of.
It is all kind of one thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask, like, your question, Cindy, was, is the sequence acquire property, then do a feasibility study, or reverse? Is there a specific sequence, or they both happen at the same time?
Yeah. Or are you looking at, okay, you know, feasibility study, here it is if we acquire this property, here it is if we can't acquire the property.
Right.
You know, so that is like there an alternatives analysis, or
there's part of it, and some of the stuff's going to happen concurrently, so it's not a
yeah. It was more of a kind of a sequencing thing, like what comes first.
Yeah.
All right, so you know, we can incorporate obviously the appraisal issue, and the appraisal issue will be involving potentially voting by CPC on what we want to do. So I did connect to the meeting listing, and everyone on our board has received it. The cost estimate for updating the appraisal that we got just over a year ago, which, as everyone knows, we cannot divulge what the value was. And I asked, basically, we have 3 scenarios under this updated appraisal. Number 1 is to estimate the market value of the 2 parcels as if they were for sale now, you know, just as what we did before. So that was one scenario. Scenario 2 would be to get the value of the trail easement. You know, basically I told him, given what someone had provided me with a trail, what was it? A typical trail outline of 12 feet to meet pedestrian bridges over Hill Street and Pine Street. And I did specify to him that, you know, if that was the way that CPC decided to vote, we'd have to lock down exactly what the widths were, what the crossing widths were, so that, you know, they could be better estimated. But I just needed a number to start with. Mm-hmm. Third scenario was to do market value, was to do them combined. So in other words, we can do 1 total value, we can do 2 only the easement, we can do 3 both of them together. So those were the 3 scenarios. The fee for just doing a new market value of the properties was to update it was $1,000. The fee for just doing the easement was $1,000, and the fee for doing both of them was $1,750. So yeah, they're all updated. I had provided him with that potential build out of those condos that Rich had given me. And just for anyone who's, you know, interested, I had looked into also how long is an appraisal good for? And this dealt back to when we had our initial appraisal. And the rule of thumb that I got from the community preservation coalition that most towns use is a year. So it's been just over a year since we had the last appraisals, and obviously we all know what's happened with the real estate market in the last year. So that could impact the value of these properties. So those are the three scenarios. And I think, you know, as far as CPC, our job tonight, you know, besides the feasibility study is to, you know, also is to decide if we want to enlist Mark Truran, Real Worth Appraising, to do a new appraisal and what we want to do it for. Is it, again, just for the value of the whole property? Is it just for the easement, or is it for both scenarios? So that's my outline.
Cindy, can I ask maybe a dumb question, but is there going to be, would you expect much of a difference between how you outlined A and C, like the value of the two lots combined and the value of the two lots separately? Would you expect
No,
that?
It was the value of the two lots combined, as if someone was going to buy it. 2 was just the easement, and scenario 3 was to value the easement alone and the value of the two properties in one report.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Can I just ask, I understand that she passed away, correct?
Correct.
And so is there somebody owning it? I mean, is it her estate? I mean, what?
Well, the house has been sold. Her friend, Bob, whose name I have somewhere, full name, is I guess he was probably the executor of the estate. And so he is the one that would be the one who would be making decisions on selling these properties. And in a previous email, I had spoken to the realtor, and at that time, I discussed with him the things we were thinking about, either buying the property outright as a town, or paying for an easement. And his opinion, and this was actually right before she passed away, but I doubt that it would be any different, was he said, make an offer. And I did say to him, it's not going to be anywhere near what it's listed for on the market. Make an offer and see what they say. And he said, you know, it may be that, you know, the person who is the executor may accept it, especially if you explain in the offer, you explain why you want to purchase the property, how it's going to be used, and the benefits to the town. He was quite negative on the thought of just selling an easement, because his opinion was if there was an easement on the rail bed, anyone who wanted to purchase the properties together, because that's kind of the only way they're buildable to the best of my understanding, that would be a detriment to anyone who is looking at purchasing the two parcels combined. And so that would make them less marketable and less saleable.
If you were to follow the path of eminent domain, would you be taking the entire lots?
We haven't gone there. Rich might have some input on that, because you've looked into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I looked into as far as you certainly can take it by eminent domain.
The lots, or just a certain width of land across where the rail bed was?
You can take it for what the rail bed is, for the purpose of the trail. So yeah, for purposes of what you need for the trail.
But you
have to pay, you don't.
Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah. No, you're still paying for it.
You have to pay fair market value.
Yeah.
But just
one of the lots is not much wider than the old rail corridor either. Just
right.
For what that's worth.
Rich, maybe you can help me out. So unlike the other article, I am in favor of this. I think it's a great thing to try to develop for the town. But the thing that's confusing me a little bit is on the railway. That's restricted anyways, isn't it? So
Yeah, no.
I don't understand the hesitation to selling the railway bed, as that now that there's an easement on it. It's already basically it's an easement because it's a right of way that's owned by the railway. Theoretically, any railway can be developed at any point in time through the ownership of the railway. Isn't that right? Or am I right or wrong?
Paul, based on, and Peter, you were at the meeting, Zach, I'm not sure you were, I can't remember, it was planning board or zoning board meeting, where another developer of the old Caritas site came in, and they mentioned specifically, are you aware that there's a former railroad back there, and they might put a bike trail? The person who was representing the developer said his understanding was that the Penn State Railroad or whatever it is gave up the right for that easement, and therefore they could build on it. So it may be in question as to whether it's quote unquote reserved or somehow there's some sort of easement.
Yeah, it was an opinion as opposed to a legal position.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how much that was opinion versus legal. Exactly.
Right. So we don't.
It's just a bit, it's like an overlap,
Right.
There's an easement on a right of way.
Yeah. So Paul's right. Bob's right in that, if they haven't relinquished, so the rail company has sold off land, and they necessarily haven't relinquished their rights to it, and so they may still be in place. But even if they relinquish their rights, there's still the statute in place. The statute may still be relevant to whether you could even put a structure on it. I have to double check, even if the rights were relinquished.
Yeah, you had told me that even if they've relinquished the rights, you have to go to the Department of Transportation for permission to put a structure.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that goes away,
Yeah, but if you combine the lots, the land contributes to like your total acreage for your build out, is my understanding.
Right, but you still have to take away the rail bed portion of that anyway. So even if it's combined, you still can't build on that straight away there.
Build on it, but if you're calculating your density per acre,
true,
it counts. Was how I understood it, but
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it counts for the total area. Yeah.
Counts for the total area, like for septic and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's how I understood it. But
I think ideally, in some respects, with the effort and if the price was, reachable, I guess, right, that they would sell it to what you would come up as a fair, the appraisal value, which is, lower than what they wanted, but was in the value. I think we would probably say that you probably want both of them, because then we can think about maybe some amenities along the Greenway. So ideally, we probably would want both parcels for the Greenway.
I would think, yeah.
So, the easement was just, honestly, I think it was a thought to say, look, if you have the rail bed, you really can't, that portion of your property, the two of them, you really can't do anything with it.
Right.
It's limited, right? And I don't know how much they really investigated this stuff on their end to know what they really can do or can't do.
I would say most people probably have no idea that there was an existing rail bed there if they're not from the area, and they probably have no idea what they have to do to contact DOT to get any kind of approval to try to build.
For what it's worth, I would concur with Rich that just simplifying the whole conversation and looking at both lots, because you're going to be looking at crossings, potential engineering of bridges. You're going to need more width at either ends of the lot. amenities make it more attractive in terms of either parking or park benches or what have you.
Right.
So you'll bring in a lot more flexibility if you just simplify it and look at it as just both lots.
Right. And the other thing is, as far as for this board or this committee, if we have to, we need to make a decision. My opinion is we don't get an appraisal for just the easement. So my opinion would be we get it for the value of both lots. And then if we want to tack on getting just the value of the easement in case they turn down, or, if we make an offer and they decline it and then we want to push the easement route, we have that in hand. I don't know, or we just do the first one and then we go to plan B if that doesn't work.
What did you say the difference in price was? 750. It's just $750 difference.
$1,000 for updating the appraisal that we had done before on the 2 lots, and to get both that plus just evaluation of the easement is $1,750. And that doesn't have to go to town meeting. That comes out of our administrative budget.
I would support just doing the study for the $1,000 for the 2 lots. I don't think the seller would even entertain the thought of selling an easement through a property, because the property would become a hard sell.
Yeah.
The
only way that would probably come into play is if the town decided to take it by eminent domain, and that
would be a long process to do that.
That's a long process, and that might need to be valued again.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of a timing issue.
So I'm fine with anything either way, but my thing is I think this is the time to strike sort of on this property. Obviously we've been talking about it for a while, and with her passing away and the property her having an executor to this, this is probably the time to do it. So if the only thing I get concerned about is limiting our options. I obviously think trying to buy is the way to go based on what the realtor has said. Yes. But I kind of also agree that if we can throw an easement, if they turn that down, maybe if we had that weapon in our our toolbox too, to back it up, it gives us 2 shots at it over the course of the next year.
Well, yeah, they were, like I said, the realtor was pretty negative on the easement. So I'm thinking that maybe the cost of evaluating the easement would really only come into play if an eminent domain thing came in. And by eminent domain, maybe then we want to take both parcels. I don't.
Right.
Different discussion.
Per pound. I don't know. So I'm just throwing that out there also as a thought.
So do we need a motion?
We need a motion to go forward with an appraisal in some way or another.
Well, I'm ready to make a motion that we spend the $1,000 to get the 2 parcels reappraised and updated.
I second it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask any further discussion, but I will say I did ask him how long it would take. Great. He answered me. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 10, 12 weeks to get it done, but don't 100% quote me on that because I didn't relook at the email, but that's probably a good estimate.
3 months to get an appraisal? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and that's actually pretty short time. I think he said about 10 weeks, but I'd say 10, 12 weeks. Any further discussion from our board or any of our guests?
So is this we're talking about a reappraisal of the rail trail and the 2 lots?
The two lots total 0 and what is it, 10?
Okay.
The 2 abutting lots, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, discussions, comments? All right. Motion has been made and seconded to move forward with an appraisal on for the 2 lots, 10 Hill Street and 0 Hill Street, for $1,000. All in favor? We have to do roll call. Cindy, aye.
Paul, I.
Simon, aye.
Betty, aye.
Sam, aye.
Gary, aye.
Will,
Aye.
bye-bye.
Okay, everyone's on. All right, so that's what I will contact him tomorrow to tell him to move forward.
So final comment on that is that there wouldn't be any chance this would be on the spring agenda town meeting. This would.
Well, it would be, well, like I said, the appraisal comes out of our administrative budget. So, you know, if we made an offer and they accepted it, even if it went, say that didn't happen until
April.
Yeah, there's ways to get it on. General, or there have been in the past. Or
open the warrant to add it.
Pardon me?
They would reopen the warrant to add it.
They can reopen the warrant to add it, or yeah, I don't know what the current feeling is on what they call placeholders. You know, we could write it and just then take
the blanks.
Yeah, they're still fine with placeholders so far. So
yeah, all right. I mean, some select boards have been, and some select boards have not.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, it could certainly be written and removed or IP.
I think it's to our advantage to try to make a move on the property sooner rather than later, because if it sits on the market this summer, it might sell from underneath us.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that would be the way to go if we can do it. So, all right. So that said,
thank you.
Feasibility study. You really just wanted kind of an informal vote of not a formal vote, right?
On the feasibility, yeah. Because so I would say, yeah. So then I would shop this around price wise and then come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just do kind of an informal vote. Is everyone in favor of moving forward with at least getting, you know, I mean, in support of doing a feasibility study and getting the costs for it?
Rich, I think based on the vote that was just taken, generally speaking, the board is in support of rail trail stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I guess if you want to base it on that, yeah. If we're looking to get an appraisal and move forward, we would be in favor of a feasibility study, would be my thinking.
Good point. I didn't plan it that way, but that's pretty good. That works.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any other comment on feasibility study?
The only thing that struck me funny in the conversation we're just having is that the property's up for sale. A new person could come in and buy it and want to build a house. I don't know what they're going to build there. And then we're going to approach them after the fact. The seller doesn't know that we're going to take the property if we need to by eminent domain. Someone new might buy the property, and then we're going to step in and say, we're going to take this property from you anyway if you don't let us buy it at this price.
No, that wouldn't work that way.
Then could you clarify how a new person might buy this property? That can't really happen, can it, without us notifying these people ahead of time that we're interested?
Oh, you just to let them know the town's interested still
I am concerned that someone, it sounds like the property's up for sale, and we have not spoken to the current person who is the executor to the estate. Someone could buy this property under good faith, and we might turn around and try to buy it. They don't want to sell it for the price we're offering, and we're going to take it from them anyway. Is that the direction that we're going?
Should add the property's been on sale, I think, for about 5 years.
5 years.
Okay, that doesn't matter. It can still sell tomorrow.
Could.
We approached the property owner, Mary Gould, a couple of years ago, and she turned us down. And I have had discussions with the realtor, and I can certainly call the realtor again, but to the best of my knowledge, there is nothing to stop them from going into a purchase and sale agreement and selling the property. And then I would suspect that's end of story, because if we offer, say someone paid $100,000, $150,000 for the property, we can't offer them but much little than that. They're not going to turn around and sell it back to us. So I don't know how eminent domain would come in at that time, if it would.
The one thing about the property I will say is that, so you can't put up a single family home on the property because it's in the, you know, the C1D district there. So essentially, if you just bought it to sit on it, that's what you'd be doing, because beyond that, you'd have to get permitting through the town to try to do anything else, you know, so everything else. So unless they said, hey, I'm going to buy it, which I suppose they could do, buy it for your price as is without permitting, then that could happen. But I don't think anybody would buy that. It shouldn't really be advised to buy that property without subject to permitting.
Right. Because remember, one of the lots is zoned residential, one is zoned commercial.
Yeah, because it's split.
And that creates the permitting problem that Rich is referring to.
Yeah, you still need to be fair with the people that come forward and ask for that permit.
Gary, we're nowhere near eminent domain, and that would be possibly years. It would be no different than if somebody came to me at this point in time and said, I'm taking your house for eminent domain. I bought it so many years ago. I don't think we have any obligation to tell anybody what our position is at this point, you know, until we either purchase the property or we're turned down for the purchase of it if we decide to go that route.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not, you know, it's not like it's a 61A property where the town would have the right of first refusal. So, you know, it's just a property we're interested in. If someone comes and buys it tomorrow,
we will still end up with it sooner or later. We will not. Okay.
I would say not necessarily.
Okay.
Well, we could approach the new people with the eminent, that we want the rail trail part of it, if they don't, you know.
I mean,
the last developer was willing to design in the trail.
Right.
So that could happen again.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there would be a possibility of negotiating, you know, assuming it's not just, you know, Joe Smith buying it to buy a house. If it's a developer or whatever he's putting on, there would be a point that we could try to negotiate with him just to get that access just to the rail bed.
Right.
And my hunch is that a judge would not permit eminent domain unless all the rest of the rail trail was built and this was the last piece that needed to be connected, because otherwise what use is it? And you know, you have to be able to provide support that taking this by eminent domain is in the best interests of the greater good, not just because I want to put a bike trail on it or something. So that's eminent domain has to go through quite a process to actually execute it.
That's not to say that if someone did come and buy it tomorrow just to sit on it, that we wouldn't have this discussion in 5 years or 10 years and try to pursue eminent domain to get the, you know, if we get the Southwood property to work and, you know, the property heading towards Rentham, then to sort of what Bob just mentioned, we could find ourselves in a position down the road where someone else purchased it and, you know, we would find the court would probably rule in our favor for eminent domain. So
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a done deal necessarily.
Yeah.
And if somebody did buy it with the intention to develop it, we could certainly, our plan B could be certainly to try and work with them to design in the trail part, since they won't be able to really build on that part anyway.
Right.
The planning board representative do that.
Well, Gary, I think Cindy kind of.
I was going to get together with the town planner and give them whatever permitting they wanted.
I think Cindy was going to, just as a courtesy, say, hey, we're going to have another appraisal done and we're still interested, right? I mean,
yeah. I'm just concerned with the sequence of events. In the worst case scenario, something could happen that doesn't sound right. That's all.
Yeah, let the realtor know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will do that and tell him we are still interested and that we're getting another appraisal and
the timetable.
Yep.
No, that's a very good point.
From the Metacomment guys, what is, if everything went well in a perfect world, how quickly are you building through Norfolk on converting the rail?
I think you told us 10 years last time you brought this up, right? About 10 years from now.
Well,
I think we'd like to see it happen quicker than that.
a lot of people that have advised us to this point have told us to plan for 10 years. Some of them have been working on trails. I mean, Rich here was working on Dedham how long ago, Rich? And it's still not much further along.
No, it's no further along.
And that's probably been over 10, maybe 15, maybe more.
I think the average time is decreasing, but we're, the average time is probably still high, but given it's a much more accepted kind of project, I bet the average time is decreasing on these.
I'll also say that like Mass Electric, National Grid is much more in favor of helping with these projects now, which is going to be a big piece in Plainville, North Attleboro, and Rentham. Also, the state is in favor of these projects. They've done a lot with trail committees at the state level, which hadn't been seen before. So there's a lot of things to sort of work in our favor. And also, like we've sort of mentioned before, the section in Norfolk really is, 3 properties that we have to get access to: Southwood, Hill Street, and we've already talked to the owner south of Pine Street. So,
I think Norfolk is. I don't want to jinx this, but I think we're in a good shape that. Yeah, we should be able to beat 10 years actually, because
it doesn't sound like 10 years. Okay.
No. So, I'm just, just to be fair, but I think we could definitely, if this fall comes through, and then Southwood, I don't see any reason why Southwood wouldn't be coming through from a trail perspective. There's a lot of other issues there'll be talk about on a community level, but the trail I think is one unifying piece of it. And then the other section, it's a matter of if you want to cross 115, go a little bit and just have a trail stop, and then you do a turnaround and come back, which probably would be nice, right? A little bit to do a little bit of both. So we're gonna say 6. How's that?
Well, do the past 2 years count towards that 6?
Well, yeah. When's the clock start?
2018.
Nah, didn't start last year.
Make sure you put that in the minutes, Michelle.
Yeah.
Said 6 years.
We hit a dead end last year, so the clock stopped ticking then.
The clock paused. Yeah, the clock paused.
Clock paused.
All right.
6 is good. 6 is good.
This is Donna Jones.
Hi, Donna.
Just if anybody if they want to learn about the trail, there is a website, metacometgreenway.org.
Yeah, the 2 guys didn't plug it. But...
I meant to.
That's right. I wondered why you were hesitated to do a presentation. It's like, just bring up the 1-page flyer. It's all right there.
Rich took over when I was about to open my mouth. So.
Okay.
On the spot thinking. Oh man.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, if you guys have.
Rewind the tape.
I don't know if we've mentioned the website to this group before, but.
Yeah, they actually did a presentation to us before.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well.
Thank you.
Time.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Really exciting. Really exciting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It's all posted.
Good evening.
Talk soon.
All right. All right. Next on our agendas for peoples who are left.
Main Street.
Yeah, there's nothing new on that other than I had asked for it to be put on the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust agenda quite a while ago. And their meetings got canceled pretty regularly at the end of last year. So there's a meeting next Tuesday, I think, in the afternoon. And so I am on the agenda for that to tell them that we need an opinion from them, whether or not they are interested in that from an affordable housing point of view. Because several members of this committee had said that that was kind of a critical consideration in whether or not they would support pursuing the purchase of that property, or even just, you know, evaluating the purchase of that property. So I just want to let you know that hopefully finally I can talk to them and try to get an opinion. And if they need to go walk it, they can go walk it and then come back again. But like I said, I swear for the last month of last year, all of their meetings were canceled. So anyway, so hopefully we'll have an opinion on that before our next meeting. And then, you know, we can decide. And I'm going to email Mr. Armstrong and let him know that it is going to be discussed next week at the Affordable Housing Trust meeting. And then after that, we would be discussing it. And then hopefully I'd be able to have an answer for him. Because I you know, if we're not interested in even considering it, then, you know, he's been good at waiting for us to be able to make a decision. And, you know, after that, you know, I just like him to not be contingent on us anymore. So that's all I had on that. Other people went after myself and Sam, and who else went?
I went.
Yeah, Peter.
I was there.
So did the other folks who went out, any opinions you'd like to share?
It was need a big cleanup.
Yes.
Yeah, Sam had actually volunteered that if we decided that we were interested in pursuing it, he knows someone who could go and give us an estimate of the amount that it would cost to clean it up, so we would know that information going into it.
Be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked it with I think Bob and Betty. I think three of us went out that one weekend, and there's no real interest from rec on this one.
Okay.
I reviewed it with them. There was nothing that really stood out, especially with Pond Street going the way it did. So.
Right, because they don't have the need for it for any kind of fields in the future. And
I mean, we're always happy to have field space, but I think Pond Street is really going to be the focus for us.
Right.
So, you know, nothing huge for us at this point.
Yeah, and I know even back the first time this came up, you know, Anne was a little hesitant because she's like, you know, this would be like an isolated field. You know, it really couldn't support a lot.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I favor consolidation over spreading out in our town. So, you know, and especially, like I said, especially Pond Street, that's probably going to be the focus for us.
Okay.
It'll only be an open space opportunity.
Couldn't you use it for affordable housing in some way? No?
Well, that's why
to the affordable housing.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to be in their meeting. I need their opinion. And if they're like, nah, no interest, then, you know, then we'll have to discuss that and evaluate it. You know, in the past, they had been interested like with Gumps, and I think there might've been another parcel that, you know, they were interested in hanging on to land for the purpose of, you know, the in lieu of payments for potential future housing development, but I don't know what their thinking is now. But that was something they considered in the past, was like, okay, yeah, you know, we'd like to acquire this. It can be open space and affordable housing. We can use it for affordable housing, have a developer build on here or whatever. But like I said, I don't know what their thinking is now, and that's why I would like to find out. That was a while ago. Boards change and opinions change. All right. Anyone else? Any thoughts on that property? Okay. DOC land acquisition. Obviously, you all know it passed a town meeting. Nothing has transpired yet with regard to some of the tasks that we have to do, other than the town clerk sent the certified town meeting vote to Raina at, was it MAPC?
DCAM.
DCAM, sorry, getting my acronyms confused. So that's done. I have talked to Ann about next steps. Things kind of just settled over the holidays. I think she's going to look at speaking to Northeast Survey, who did the original surveys, about the cost and the going forward of getting the survey done again, because it's too old now to be used, and the land has to be surveyed, the wetlands marked again. But it makes sense that if Northeast Survey Consultants did it the first time, it would make sense that they have all the maps and all the plans, that they would do it again, and it would be a heck of a lot less expensive than starting from someone from scratch. And then I'm just gonna chase down to make sure that when we do the ENF filing, that what I've been told is correct. And the reason is, I got told things by a couple of different people, and then I just want to make sure that we don't head down, i.e. the town, doesn't head down the wrong path and doing things either we don't need to do or we don't do enough things. So that's my task, is to just try to really get that defined so that we can hire somebody to get it done. We the town, not we, us. But it would be, when I talked to Ann, I mean, basically, once we get nailed down exactly what we need to do, it will be like any other project that's taken on by another board, in that rec would be responsible for, signing the contracts, verifying it's been done, getting the paperwork, submitting the receipts to us. So I'm just doing a little bit of the background, since I already did a bunch of it. And then with those things getting underway, we should be well on our way to getting things moving on that, actually going forward. But like I said, over holidays and stuff, town meeting was late, things just kind of lingered, other than some discussions between myself and Ann.
Yeah, Cindy, let me know on your end if you need anything. I know obviously I'll be working with Ann on the rec side, so
yep.
Just let me know. I have had it on my list to call you about this for the last month, and it's the holidays and I haven't had time to breathe, so.
Yep. Yeah, and I had, contacted someone and got an out of office reply, and, so, and I hadn't followed up on it either. But, it's only just a month down the road, or a little bit from town meeting. So, it's not anything that I'm worried about. Holidays are hard for everybody. All right. I think I didn't have anything else on that, unless anyone had a question. And Will, did Ann ever do her walk?
You know what? No, she didn't.
Okay. So the only other things that I had on the agenda were, well, we have minutes, obviously, but everyone should have gotten a note about the CPA trust fund distribution. And let's see, this came out November 12th. And all CPA communities received a 28.6% match on round one. So I think that's more than last year. And for newer people, a number of years ago, excuse me, let me back up a sec. So round one is the people who have like a 1% surcharge. And then if you have a higher surcharge, you get greater matches, but we're in the 1% surcharge now. So that's what we get. So I don't know what the numerical breakdown is, the dollar breakdown is, but I think that's better than it's been in some of the past years. So I just wanted to bring that to folks' attention, but everybody should have gotten that email. And then the only other thing I had that was kind of a new business is I did get today a message from the select board that, let's see, town meeting is going to be Tuesday, May 11. And a selectmen's meeting last night opened the warrant. and articles have to be submitted by Friday, February 12th. So that is our deadline to submit any articles. One of which would be the housing production plan, and then, you know, if there's the feasibility study too, that would be in there as well.
What date was that?
Town meeting is the May 11, and the deadline for warrant articles is Friday, February 12th. Before we look at minutes, if people have looked at minutes, does anyone have anything else kicking around? Okay, did people look at minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let me get my copies. I'm not sure where they went. I've got Full Street. I have them here. One moment. I lost mine. Hang on. Let me take a look where they went.
Let's get this.
Everyone's leaving.
I make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead, because I can't find them. I've lost my minute, so go ahead. Anyone have any, Michelle's, you've got yours, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't print them. But you already amended them, didn't you? Did anybody read them?
Yeah.
I've read them.
Yeah, I edited them. So did anybody have any changes? I'll take a note since I can't find where I put mine.
No.
I make a motion to accept the October minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Anybody that's not there should abstain. Because I can't remember who was there and who wasn't there.
I was there.
Okay.
It says absent on it was Peter and Sam.
For October?
That's what it says on the document.
Oh, good. You have somebody has the document. All right, so we'll take 2 abstains. All right, so that's done. And on November minutes.
And
Dave was absent.
I make a motion to accept November as amended.
Oh, she's quick. I'll second it.
Second.
Dave can't second if he wasn't there.
I was there.
Oh, you were there.
Then it's a typo.
I wasn't there?
That's what it says in the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
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 Dave, you have to abstain.
Abstain.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know I printed them out, so I have no idea where I left them. I must have carried them somewhere. All right. Anything else? And we can adjourn.
Cindy, the minutes, what if I print them off, sign them, and put them in the mail?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Mail them. Let's just think if I mail them to me. Michelle, do you need to keep the signed copies or just the unsigned copies? I know the signed have to go to Carol.
You know what it doesn't matter. I usually do, if I can make a signed copy, I do. If I can't, I just put an extra, just a copy in our files.
All right.
I can scan it in and send it to you, Michelle.
Oh, that's perfect. And then I'll print it.
What I'll do is just scan in the last page, the signature page.
Okay.
I'll send that off to you, and then Carol Green gets the originals?
Yeah, send Carol the originals.
All right,
so just mail hard mail them to her if you don't mind, or drop them in the outside mailbox at Town Hall.
Hard mail them, okay.
No, or you can just put them in
To be honest with you, given the Postal Service's performance the last few weeks, for me personally, I will drop them off probably.
Yeah, that works. I had meds that went missing for about a month, so yeah. Okay. All right, that sounds like a plan. Thank you. Anything else?
No, it's been fun.
It's a long, uncharacteristically long meeting for us tonight.
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn 9:30.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
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 Bye.
Good night, everyone. See you. I think
February.
See you in
it's I think
September.
it's February 2.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.